Have you ever had something important to do, but you did everything else instead? That's procrastination.
Welcome to today's talk, everyone.
I will act like a TED presenter and talk to you about how procrastination works inside our brains. But don't worry, this is a simple version of the story, so everyone can understand it. If you're new here, feel free to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So now, let's get into the story. When I was in college, I studied government. That means I had to write many papers. A normal student usually does the work step by step, like this. They start slowly, but do some work in the first week. Then, if they work more in the next days, they can finish the paper on time. Everything is okay. I also wanted to do it like that. That was my plan. I always planned to do the paper early, but when it was time to write, I didn't follow the plan. I always waited and did something like this instead. And this happened with every paper I wrote. Then, I had to do my big paper in my last year. It was called a senior thesis. It was 90 pages long. People are supposed to work on it for 1 whole year. I knew I couldn't do it like my usual way, because this paper was too big. So, I made a plan for the year. In the plan, I started with a little work in the beginning. Then I would do more in the middle months. At the end, I would work really hard, like going upstairs slowly. I thought, how hard can it be to walk upstairs? It didn't sound so bad. But then something funny happened. The first few months came, and they went. But I didn't do anything, so I had to make a new and better plan. But those middle months also passed, and I still didn't really write anything. So now I was in trouble. 2 months became 1 month, and then it became just 2 weeks. One day, I woke up and saw that I only had 3 days before the deadline. I still hadn't written even 1 word. So I did the only thing I could do. I wrote 90 pages in 72 hours. I didn't sleep for 2 nights in a row. And let me tell you, humans are not supposed to stay up for 2 nights. Then, I ran across the campus, jumped in slow motion, and handed in the paper right at the deadline. I thought everything was over, but 1 week later, I got a phone call. It was from the school. They said, "Is this Tim Urban?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "We need to talk about your thesis." I said, "Okay." They said, "It's the best one we've ever seen." That did not happen. It was a very, very bad thesis. I just wanted to enjoy that one short moment when all of you thought, "Wow, this guy is amazing." No, it was really, really bad. Anyway, now I'm a writer and a blogger. I write a blog called Wait But Why. A few years ago, I decided to write about procrastination. People who don't procrastinate never understand my behavior, and I wanted to explain to them what happens in the mind of someone who does procrastinate. I had an idea. I thought maybe the brain of a procrastinator is not the same as other people's brains, so I wanted to test this idea. I found a place with an MRI machine. They let me scan my brain and also the brain of a person who does not procrastinate. I wanted to compare the 2 brains. I actually brought the brain scans here to show you today. Please look carefully and see if you can find the difference. I know it is not easy to see if you are not a brain expert, but just try, okay? So, this is the brain of a person who doesn't procrastinate. And now, this is my brain. There is a difference. Both brains have a part called the rational decision maker. But the procrastinator's brain also has something else. It has the instant gratification monkey. So, what does this mean for the procrastinator? It means everything is okay until this moment. This is a perfect time to get some work done. Nope. So, the rational decision maker wants to make a smart choice and do something useful. But the monkey doesn't like that idea. He takes control and says, "Let's read the whole Wikipedia page about the Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding scandal because I just remembered it." Then he says, Let's go to the fridge and check if there's anything new inside since 10 minutes ago. After that, he wants to watch YouTube. It starts with videos of Richard Feynman talking about magnets. But many hours later, we are watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. All of that takes a long time. So the monkey says, "We don't have time to do any work today. Sorry." So what's happening here? The instant gratification monkey is not the kind of person you want driving your life. He only lives in the present. He doesn't remember the past. He doesn't think about the future. He only cares about two things: if something is easy and if something is fun. In the animal world, this is not a problem. If you're a dog and you spend your life doing only fun and easy things, that's great. You are a big success. And to the monkey, humans are just another kind of animal. He thinks we just need to sleep well, eat well, and make babies. In old times, when people lived in small tribes, this worked fine. But now, we don't live like that anymore. We live in a modern world, and the monkey doesn't understand it. That's why we have another part in our brain, the rational decision maker. He gives us the power to do things animals can't do. We can think about the future. We can understand the big picture. We can make long-term plans. And this part of us wants to think carefully and help us do the best thing right now. Sometimes it makes sense to do things that are easy and fun, like eating dinner, going to bed, or enjoying some well-earned rest. That's when the monkey and the rational decision maker actually agree. But often, what makes sense is doing harder, less pleasant things, because they help us in the long term. And that's when a conflict happens. For procrastinators, this conflict usually ends the same way, with them spending lots of time in this orange zone. A fun and easy place that's totally outside of the makes sense circle. I call it the dark playground. Now, the dark playground is something every procrastinator knows well. It's where fun activities happen, but at the wrong time. And the fun isn't really fun. It's filled with guilt, dread, anxiety, and self-hatred. All those lovely procrastinator feelings. So, with the monkey driving, how does the procrastinator ever get to the blue zone? The place where real, important things happen, even if it's not pleasant. Well, the procrastinator has a guardian angel. He watches over him in his darkest moments. His name is the panic monster. The panic monster is usually asleep, but he wakes up when a deadline is near, or when there's risk of public embarrassment, a career disaster, or some other serious consequence. And here's the key. The monkey is terrified of the panic monster. Some time ago, something important happened in my life. The people at TED contacted me. This was about 6 months ago. They asked me if I wanted to give a TED Talk. Of course I said yes. It had always been a dream of mine to give a TED Talk. But while I was feeling very happy and excited, the rational decision maker inside my brain was thinking about something else. He said, "Do we really understand what we just agreed to? Do we know what is going to happen one day in the future? We need to start working on this right now." The monkey in my brain said, "Yes, I agree, but first let's open Google Earth. Let's look at the bottom of India from 200 feet above the ground. Let's scroll slowly for 2.5 hours until we get to the top of the country. That way, we can really understand what India looks like." So that is what we did that day. Then 6 months became 4 months. 4 months became 2 months. And then, only 1 month was left. TED decided to show all the speakers on their website. I went to the website. I opened the page. And suddenly, I saw my face looking right at me. Guess what happened? The panic monster woke up. The panic monster went crazy. He started shouting. Everything became wild and noisy in my brain. And the monkey, remember, he is very afraid of the panic monster, ran up a tree right away. Finally, The rational decision maker could take control. Now I could finally begin working on my TED Talk. The panic monster helps explain why procrastinators sometimes act in crazy ways. For example, people like me can spend 2 whole weeks just staring at a blank page, not able to write even the first sentence of a school paper. But then, right before the deadline, something magical happens. Suddenly, we get a huge burst of energy and focus. We can stay up all night and write 8 full pages in one night. So this is the system that procrastinators have. It's not perfect, but somehow it works. A few years ago, I wrote about it on my blog. I was very surprised by the response. I got thousands of emails from people all over the world. They had many different jobs: nurses, bankers, artists, engineers, and especially a lot of PhD students. They all said the same thing. I have this problem too. But something surprised me. My blog post was light and funny, but the emails were not. The people who wrote to me were really frustrated and upset. They talked about how procrastination had hurt their lives. They felt like the monkey had taken over and made things worse. That made me think, if the procrastinator system works, why do so many people feel so bad? What is really happening? Well, I learned something. There are actually 2 kinds of procrastination. The first kind is what I talked about before, when you put things off, but there is a deadline. The monkey might take control, but when the deadline comes close, the panic monster wakes up and helps you finish the work. So the damage is limited. But the second kind of procrastination is different. It happens when there is no deadline. This is a bigger problem. For example, if you want to build a career by yourself, like starting a business or making art, no one gives you deadlines at first. Nothing will happen until you start doing the hard work yourself. And in life, there are many other important things without deadlines, like spending time with family, taking care of your health, exercising, or working on your relationship. Maybe you need to fix a relationship or even leave a bad one. But without deadlines, the panic monster doesn't show up, and the monkey stays in control. Now, if the procrastinator only works when the panic monster wakes up, that's a problem. Because in situations with no deadlines, the panic monster doesn't appear. He has nothing to wake up for. So, procrastination doesn't stop. It just keeps going. This kind of long-term procrastination is harder to see. It's not funny like short-term procrastination with deadlines. People usually suffer from it quietly and alone. And this can cause a lot of sadness and regret in the long term. I realized this is why people were sending me emails. They were not just trying to finish a project. They were feeling like they were only watching their lives, not really living them. The problem wasn't that they failed to reach their dreams. It was that they never even started. When I read those emails, I had a small realization. I don't think there are people who never procrastinate. That's right. I think everyone procrastinates. You might not be a total mess like some of us. You might handle deadlines well. But remember, the monkey is best at hiding when there are no deadlines. Now I want to show you one last thing. I call it a life calendar. It shows 1 square for every week in a 90-year life. That's not a lot of squares, especially since we've already used many of them. So I think we all need to look carefully at this calendar. We should ask ourselves what we are really procrastinating on, because everyone is delaying something in life. We need to stay aware of the instant gratification monkey. That's something we all need to work on. And because there aren't many boxes left, we should probably start now. Well, maybe not right now, but soon. We must remember, life is short. Look at the life calendar. Each box is 1 week, and we only have so many. Let's ask ourselves, what are we really waiting for? Let's start doing the things that matter. Not someday, but soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this talk, please like and subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Take care and see you soon.